Hi guys, welcome back to another YouTube video. My name's Nina if you're new here, and we do godly talks on this side of YouTube. So I actually just went live on TikTok not too long ago, and I got a notebook full of 24 questions that my followers asked me. So the first question says, how has your relationship with God changed the outcome of your life? I would say prior to being close to God, I was living in chaos. I was trying to lead myself. I was getting myself into relationships, situationships, friendships, or just surrounding myself with the wrong group of people. I was leading myself downhill. So when God became the main factor in my life, I started to realize what peace was. Prior to God, actually, God has been a part of my life. Like, I grew up going to church sometimes, and then I fell off. And then when I was like 15, 16, I started going to church again with my dad. But it was not some, like, what's the word I'm looking for? It was not some like commitment. And now it's a commitment. I don't go to church every Sunday. I do tune into pastors and preachers on YouTube. That was actually one of the questions. My 3 favorite preachers and pastors on YouTube are Sarah Jakes Roberts, Michael Todd, and Keon Henderson. So tune into them because they preach. When I tell you they preach, they will open and expand your mindset to things you didn't even know you could think about. But yeah, prior to having God as the main source of my life, hectic, chaos. That's what my life was. I felt like I was never where I was supposed to be. I felt like I was always chasing peace and chasing love, and I was never getting it. I felt like I was like, it was almost like chasing a dream and never achieving it. And you're never going to achieve it until I added God into my life. Now I feel so much peace. I feel like just like a breath of fresh air. I know that with God at the center, he will align me with who and what are meant for me. I have no questions. I don't question God. So that is that. God has changed my life and my outcome of my life for the better. Because if I didn't have God, I don't know where I would be today. I don't know what kind of mindset I would have today. I don't know who I would surround myself with today. With God, I can sit in a room by myself or spend an entire week by myself and still be at peace. I don't seek attention. I don't seek going out with friends and getting drunk. I don't seek having someone around just to fill a void. I'm chilling because of God. Before that, I would need to distract myself because my mind was in pure chaos. I would have to distract myself to go out. I would have to have friends over to just have me not be in my own head all the time. I would have to go shopping or just be busy 24/7 just to basically run from the chaos that I was living in. So with God at the center, you will understand what peace is. Next question, what's the best book in the Bible for someone to navigate through a tough time? I would say Psalms, because actually one verse I know off the top of my head in Psalms is Psalms 46 verse 10. And it says, be still and know that I am God. Basically throughout Psalms, the Bible talks about pain, doubt, lacking faith, gaining reassurance, and sometimes like questioning or doubting God. So be still and know that I am God literally means that God is reassuring you that if you just take a moment to just relax for a second and put your faith in him, he will lead you on the right path. So definitely Psalms. Definitely, I mean, you don't even have to start at like Psalms 1 and go through all the verses. You could literally flip through any verse in Psalms and probably get some reassurance or peace of mind because that's how powerful that book in the Bible is. How to stop looking for love in other people. How to stop looking for love in other people will happen when you know how to love yourself. I feel like we tend to look to other people to fill voids. We look to other people to give us what we lack within ourselves, right? So actually, the closer you get to God, the more you will start to know what true love is. So I used to like seek, I love love. I love love. I love to love. It's that simple. I love giving. I love receiving love, but just out of genuine kindness. I never ask for anything. I love putting a smile on someone else's face, and I love making a difference in someone else's life, but it's got to be the right person. Because for the right person, I will bring them peace, and it will never be chaos, because the love that I have within my heart is from God, and God does not bring chaos. God brings peace. So the closer you get to God, the more you will understand love. And when you understand the love, you'll be able to love yourself. Because what we don't want to do is give love to somebody that, number one, doesn't deserve it. Number two, that person wasn't sent to you by God. And number three, if you're trying to pour into someone when your cup isn't full, then that's not going to work. You have to have a strong foundation when trying to love yourself or love someone else. And I always make God the foundation, because this is actually from my dad. Everything in life needs a foundation, otherwise it'll crumble. For example, a car. A car needs an engine, otherwise it won't run. A house needs a foundation, otherwise it will not stand tall. A relationship needs a foundation, otherwise it will literally crumble. And I mean, you could come up with other metaphors and stuff, but you get the point. So seek God, ask God to teach you what true love is, and he will most likely isolate you so that you learn how to love yourself. And that way, moving forward, you'll be able to love someone else instead of looking for love within them. How to make God the center. How to make God the center. I would say just start by disciplining yourself and being consistent. So with anything else in life, like the gym, for example, I love going to the gym, but we lack commitment and we lack discipline. If I say I'm going to go to the gym 5 days this week and I only go twice, I wasn't committed and I wasn't disciplined enough to get my butt there. So what you need to do is make God a daily priority in your life. Every single morning, if you have to write it on an index card, if you have to set an alarm on your phone, whatever you have to do, if you have to put a sticky note on your bedroom door before you leave your bedroom and it says pray and talk to God, then that is what you need to do. To make God the center, you have to be committed to it. You have to want it bad enough. Don't just talk to God when things aren't going right. Everything could be going so well and you still need to be talking to God, because God will start to notice that you only go to him when things are going wrong. And when everything's going right and you're like, oh yeah, God did this. God saved me from this. God got me out of this tough time. But are you saying thank you? Because if you lack saying thank you to God and you lack acknowledging how much he has brought you out of or how much he has changed your life, then he might take a step back on answering a lot of your prayers, because you have to be as faithful to God as he is to you. So to make God the center, be committed to God. Be committed and willing to build that relationship with God, and your whole life will change. How to stop looking to people. See, this is a part where I would edit, but I gotta be transparent. Let's run that back. How to stop looking to please other people when they don't care about you. That's deep. How to stop looking to please other people when they don't care about you. One thing about me is I am empathetic. Empathetic means that you want to see someone else so happy all the time. Basically, you're almost like a people pleaser, but not even in a bad way. It's just you love seeing people happy. You love making an impact in other people's lives. You love doing things for someone because you know that they'll genuinely enjoy it or they'll be happy. But when someone doesn't care about you, that's different. You should never be pouring into someone that doesn't care about you, because what are you doing? What are you really doing? Are you expecting something in return? Are you doing it because you see that they're in a tough season of life? Because that could be different. You could be helping someone or validating someone or showing someone love because they might need it. You never know how God is working through you. But if someone truly is showing you they don't care, then stop overplaying your role. You got to stop overplaying your role. Your mind has to be stronger than your emotions. I have had to learn that the tough way. I've cared for people that have stabbed me right in my back. I have done things for people and I haven't counted favors. Anything that I do is out of genuine, pure kindness just because I'm a caring person. And it's so tough because sometimes we can't decipher if someone cares or if they don't, or if they're there to use you, or if they're there to actually love you, or if they're around just because they like what you do for them. It's very tough. But if it is clear as day that someone does not care about you and someone is treating you with disrespect and they're not loyal and they're not honest and it's just chaos, then stop overplaying your role. You have to put your foot down with yourself at some point. You have to hold yourself accountable. You can't sit here and keep running yourself into the ground just because you want to please someone else so much when that person doesn't care. My answer to that is stop overplaying your role. It's okay to care, but talk to God and ask who are the right people that you should be caring about. And also ask God to remove the people that don't care about you out of your life. I don't care if it's a sibling, a parent, a grandparent, a coworker, a best friend. I don't care who it is. If the person does not care about you and they are in your life and it's bringing you down, ask God to remove them. And you don't even have to say a specific name. You don't have to say, oh, remove this sibling. That's crazy. God will remove who and what he knows need to be removed. So don't tell God, oh, I want you to remove this person. You don't know if that person's supposed to be in your life or not. So talk to God and just ask him to remove who and what need to be removed and align you with who and what are meant to be in your life. Okay? All right. Next question. How to keep the faith when dating in this generation in your 30s? That's kind of tricky because I'm 25. But basically, I could still give some good input. How to keep the faith when dating in this generation in your 30s. I would say this generation is very difficult to date in because there's so many people that are unloyal. There's so many people that think they have multiple options. Like, yeah, you might be good looking. You might get messages. People might hit you up. People might come up to you when you're out in public and stuff, or out at dinner, or out with your boys, or out with your girls. But is it really all about attention? Or is it deeper than that? So I would say to keep the faith in this generation, align yourself with God. That's always going to be my response. Align yourself with God. Ask God to help bring a relationship into your life that is pure and it is sent by him. Ask God to give you reassurance in the seasons of isolation. And if you're actively dating, like say that you're talking to like multiple people or whatever, I mean, you might not be doing things with multiple people, but hey, sometimes people take dating as I'm going to go on a few dates a week. And hey, by all means, do you. But to date in this generation, love yourself first. And I just answered that question like 2 questions ago. Love yourself first so that you know your value, you know your worth, you know what somebody should be bringing to the table. You know what qualities you're looking for in someone. If someone cannot literally check off every question or box on your list, then no. Stop settling for less than. Stop settling just because you want some little bit of attention. Stop settling where someone is not valuing you and someone is not making you a priority. That is not okay. Stop settling where you... Okay, I just stuttered so bad I had to edit that. Stop settling where you have to chase something that's not chasing you. Because God will not give you something that you need to chase. I read this quote yesterday and it said, the sooner you start to chase God, God will give you something that you don't have to chase after. And that was so deep. So yeah, keep faith in God first. Practice self-love. If you are like actively dating around or trying to get to know people, ask somebody questions. Get to know that person. It's about the journey. It's not about what somebody can do for you. It's not about how much money somebody can hand you. It's not about how much somebody can pay for your nails to be done. Get to know somebody on a deeper level. Get to know their mindset. Get to know who they hang out with. Get to know what their long-term goals are. Get to know what their family, what their family situation is. Like, I'm super family oriented. So it's like I would love somebody that is a family person, but just get to know somebody deeper than what they look like. That is number one. Get to know somebody deeper than their looks. Somebody could be so handsome, so fine, so beautiful, drop dead gorgeous. but can we relate on a deeper level? Because if we can't, you got to go. So that's my response for that question. How do you model self-love without vanity? Vanity means like excessive pride. Like, how do you model self-love without being conceited about yourself, without being all about your looks? So I would say I model self-love by giving myself grace each day. If I'm not doing my best, if I had a checklist of things that I wanted to get done today and I didn't get them all done, I give myself grace. I model self-love by literally showing people the sense of peace that I have when I'm by myself. I model self-love by knowing that I have enough love within my heart that I do not need someone to fill a void. So anyone that comes into my life will be an addition. Anyone that I allow to enter my life on a relationship level will add to my happiness, will add to the love I already have for myself, because I know God. And God has instilled in me so much self-love. And it took a while to get here because, like I said earlier, I had lived in chaos before, and I would look for people to fill that void because I didn't love myself. There were either insecurities, there were doubts, there were people in my life that I should have never been around that were belittling me nonstop, that were lowering my self-esteem, and it just wasn't okay. So to surround yourself with people like that, you'll never learn self-love. And that is why I said, like, ask God to remove who and what are, whoa! I said to ask God to remove who and what are not meant for you. Because the sooner he gets rid of the things that aren't aligned with you, the sooner he will align you with who and what are for you. So with me hanging around people that would lower my self-esteem or belittle me, or I felt like I was like in a box, like I felt like I couldn't grow around these people. Whether it was family, friends, whatever, coworkers, I felt like I was like trapped. So now that God has removed those people, I feel like the sky is the limit, and that's how you should feel. So modeling self-love is big because you never know who's watching you. You never know who pays attention to you every single day. Like, for example, I'm like an influencer on TikTok, so I post prayers, but those are my vulnerable prayers. Those are prayers I write for myself. I would be writing those with TikTok or without TikTok. So modeling self-love is that right there. I share prayers, and those prayers bring people to tears. So clearly you see that I love myself enough to talk to God about myself and to model self-love. I'm getting so much deeper in this. To model self-love, you have to do self-reflection. You have to be willing to change things about yourself when you could have been the problem or the villain in someone's story. So talk to God, practice self-love. If you have to go into an isolation season, then do it. If you have to ask God to remove who and what are not aligned with you or not meant for you, then be intentional when you say that and be ready for God to move. Next question says, what can you do when your partner is gone mentally, but you want to help them rebuild themselves? So I talked a little about, what is wrong with me? I talked a little bit about this on TikTok Live. That was a tongue twister. But basically what I had mentioned was trying to rebuild something when your partner in your relationship is mentally checked out. That is extremely difficult, because I have been in a relationship where I mentally checked out, but I had mentally checked out months ago. And it took a lot for me to mentally check out. So it would take a heck of a lot to get that person to check back in. And especially if that person went through hurt in the relationship and that's what made them check out, I don't know. And it's like, personally, if I checked out from something, I'm done. I don't want what you have for me anymore. I don't want what you're offering me anymore. If you weren't loyal to me, I don't want the loyalty now. If you were dishonest to me, I don't want the honesty now, because that should have been that from the jump. That should have been given from the start. So it's like, I check out when someone is just not, when someone is just not being pure, when someone is not loving you the way that they are supposed to love you. But that could be tricky because sometimes people's definition of love is different. I mean, you could grow up in a giant family and just know what pure love is and go to church all the time and know self-love and know what God's love feels like. But then also you could have grown up as an only child with a single parent and you don't really know what love is. So sometimes you got to give people grace, but because sometimes people don't really know how to truly love, and sometimes you're the one that teaches them. But aside from that, when someone is mentally checked out, and I remember on TikTok you had said, what did you say? She checked out, but you're still there to help her. But when you offer your help, she pushes you away. That goes back to chasing something that God doesn't need you to chase. When God is removing something or someone from your life, let him. When God is pulling something out of your life and transitioning your life, let him. I know that it's hard because I remember the person that asked me that question said he was in a 5-year relationship. And it's like, of course, like, we're human. We have emotions. We get attached to people. You're with somebody all the time or you talk to somebody every day. You don't want to lose that person, because the thing is, there were times of happiness. There were times where you were super close. But when the disrespect starts, the checkouts start mentally, and they're just so far gone, there's no going back, then you have to let God work. You got to let God move the people out of your life that need to be moved. And it's a hard pill to swallow, but I personally don't want to chase somebody that's not for me. And I always tell myself, if it is meant for you, it will never pass you by. Some people are put in your life for a season. And I spoke about this on live, and I said I had a friend of like 10 plus years and we fell off, right? But what I'm going to say is I needed her so bad during that season of my life. There were times that I had no one to go to, and I sat on her bed and I cried because she was my backbone in that season of my life. So there will never be any hate. There will never be any disrespect, because when God knows you need somebody or something in your life at a specific time, he knows. So I'm grateful for the times we shared, but now it's time to move on. How to put God first without feeling selfish. How to put God first without feeling selfish. Oh, I remember. The girl that asked me this elaborated a little more. Like, how do you put God first in your life without feeling selfish, that you're kind of like pushing other people away? Personally, that has been my life the past like year and a half. I am somebody that always tries to please other people. I always try to make sure my family's good. I always go hang out with cousins or siblings or just family and stuff. And I'm the one that drives to everybody's house to go check in or hang out or whatever. And I always say yes. I'm always willing to do things. But when I was living in chaos, I had to put God first. I had to lock in with God, and I had to lock in with myself. So like, for example, one of my cousins, I stopped texting her for like 2 weeks, and I felt awful. I felt bad because we talk every single day. We FaceTime about 15 times a day. We hang out literally almost every single day. So it's like, in that season of chaos, I was seeking God, and I wasn't doing it to be selfish by not talking to this person, but it's like I had to lock in with myself. And when you're living in chaos and there's outside distractions, even if those distractions are not like bad, just like you could want to lock in with yourself, but then, oh, maybe I shouldn't pray today. Let me just go hang out with my friends. Or I'm going to pray later, God, or I'll talk to you later because I'm going to go to my brother's house. Nah, that stops. That stops right here, right now. When it is time to lock in with God, and it is time to literally dive deep within yourself and do self-searching and find who you are and get that relationship with God, you can be selfish. It's the right people that will be around you that will know, hey, she just needed some time, or she just needed a week to lock in with herself, or, oh, she's not being selfish. The right people will understand you. So again, this is another time where I'm going to say, ask God to align you with the people that are meant to be in your life. Because the people that are not meant to be in your life will be ignorant, and they will make you feel bad when you put yourself first. How to forgive yourself when hurting. I got a prayer for that. We're just going to read prayer. Let's see. I have made some mistakes and I haven't always gotten things right. Sometimes my mistakes haunt me and block my view of the future. I've realized that everything that happened to me in life wasn't an attack from the enemy. Sometimes I was the problem. Sometimes I was the one in the wrong. I cursed them out and was led by my emotions to a place called regret. I know you said that you could make all things new. Can you help me to see myself through your eyes and not my mistakes? Help me to learn from my mistakes, grow from my failures, and correct behaviors that don't serve me. Help me to forgive myself and not confuse conviction with condemnation. I made a mistake, but I am not a mistake. Isaiah 43:18-19 says, "Forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland." Give yourself grace. If you're hurting and you're trying to forgive yourself, give yourself grace, because going through hurt and going through a season of healing and also trying to forgive yourself for the areas that you might have been wrong in, it can weigh heavy on you because you start to punish yourself or you start to point fingers at yourself. And it's not, you are not always the main problem. There's many factors that come into hurt and healing, or a relationship like ending or a friendship ending. But sometimes we do have to hold ourselves accountable. But forgive yourself by the grace of God. Talk to God about it and just be a little easier on yourself. Somebody said, just like they said, overthinking ? When it comes to overthinking, I'm assuming you're asking me how to help with overthinking. I overthink everything. So let's get a little deeper and let's figure out how we can stop overthinking everything. One of the main things I started practicing was getting in God's presence. When I start overthinking something and I'm like, oh my gosh, this could happen, or this is going to go wrong, or what if this happens, or oh my goodness. No, calm down. I started taking like 2 to 3 deep breaths and then I get in God's presence. Because what we're not going to do is sit here and overthink ourselves into tears. It's just, we're not doing that. I said this on TikTok Live earlier. Overthinking helps nothing. All it does is make the situation worse because your thoughts are taking over. Your thoughts are running a marathon in your mind. As soon as you get into God's presence, you'll get clarity. God will start to give you signs. God will start to talk to you through people, through things, through a video you might come across on social media. So get in God's presence when you start to overthink. Tell God what's bothering you and ask for reassurance. That's what I do. I'm not saying I don't overthink. I do all the time. But the difference now is, as soon as I start overthinking, I stop what I'm doing, I put my phone down, and I get into God's presence. And literally within minutes, I'm more at peace. I feel more reassured. I feel calm. Someone said how to move on from someone who is not for you. How to move on from someone who is not for you. I would pray my way out of it. Whew. I was in a relationship, got done filthy, and I started to realize this person was not for me. I ignored red flags. I was naive to the disrespect. I allowed the lies to corrupt my mind. And when I had had enough, I prayed my way out of it. So it gets to a point where when you are tired of putting up with things and you're tired of questioning everything somebody's doing, you got to pray. I simply was intentional with what I said. And I said, God, if this person is not meant for me, remove them. Remove them with grace. You don't have to make it chaotic. Just remove them. You don't even have to explain why, God. Just take them away from me. And that's what happened. That is exactly what happened. It hurt a little bit, but I knew it wasn't for me. I would rather be by myself than go through disrespect, lies, and mistreatment. It's that simple. That's what it comes down to. Pray your way out of it. Be intentional with the words you're telling God. If you think that you're in a relationship or in a friendship or whatever the case may be, and you don't think it's for you, talk to God. God, is this relationship or friendship for me? If it's not, remove it. Simple. But some of us struggle with being intentional. Some of us don't want to lose what we have been comfortable with. Me, I don't want anything that is not from God. I don't want anything that is not from me. If I end up with someone and red flags start happening, baby, we are done. We're done. Finished. I'm not putting up with disrespect. I'm not dealing with the red flags. I'm not going to sit here and question your every move. You should come with pure intentions. You should come with honesty, loyalty. And if you are looking for a commitment, then be committed. So if something is not for you and you can feel it in your soul, pray to God and he will get you out of that situation and he will align you with purity, peace, and what is meant for you. Let's see. God being your main focal point while waiting for a relationship. How can you make God, basically the person said, how can you make God your man while waiting for your man to come in? I'm over here stuttering. How can you make God your man and your main focal point while waiting for him to bring you a relationship? So I would say, get in God's presence daily. Get in God's presence even when you don't have enough energy to do so. One thing that I learned was when you don't have the urge to pray, you know you want to talk to God, but something's holding you back. It's the enemy pulling you away from God because the enemy does not want God to bring you clarity. When you ask God to get you home safely or help your family, friends, and yourself get to all destinations safely, when you don't want to talk to God, something is holding you back from doing so. So be strong enough to break through that. Break through that barrier with God's help. It's like you could think, oh no, I'm too tired to get into a prayer session. I'm too tired to get into God's presence. No, what? I don't care if your eyes are shut. Talk to God. I don't care if you aren't even talking out loud and you're so exhausted that you're basically on the verge of falling asleep. Talk to God in your mind. How to make God the main focus of your life while waiting for somebody to come into it. Stop chasing. Stop literally telling God what you need and ask God to give you what he knows you need. Stop chasing after love when you have to work on self-love. Stop running after somebody or something to fill a void. You have to check in with yourself. You have to be intentional with yourself and what you're talking to God about. If you're in a toxic situation, you have to talk to God. You know better. You know what you deserve. You know what kind of relationship or friendship or people you want to surround you. But when we get so used to living in chaos, that is what we are attracted to. If I live in chaos every day and I love bickering with somebody and I love going back and forth and I love being toxic, what makes you think I'm going to chase somebody that brings me peace? What makes you think that when I'm finally out of that toxic situation and someone comes along and they're healed and they love me with so much pure love and they're treating me right, and I end it? That's because we're used to chaos. That is because we chase after the toxicity. So when you self-reflect and you dive deep within self and you talk to God about, hey, God, I know what I deserve, but I'm struggling with chasing toxicity. God, I'm struggling with chasing after somebody that I know in my soul is not meant for me. Talk to God like he is your friend. I say this in every video. I need some chapstick, so bear with me. Or lip gloss. Stop settling in chaos. It's easier said than done. But the more you get into God's presence, the more you will start to understand what love is. You're chasing a feeling when love... you're chasing a feeling when love is so much more than that. Love is someone that brings purity. But you could love yourself first. That's what you need to do. Love is being so at peace that if you are single for 10 years, you trust God that he's preparing your husband to walk into your life. Love is being so at peace with yourself that you don't question why every other relationship didn't work out. Love is pure. Love is God sent. Love is talking to somebody or being in your own presence, either way, and all you feel is peace. Love is like when you are at a train station and all you're hearing is beeping, sirens, horns, all this chaos, and then someone stands in front of you and everything goes mute. That is what love feels like. Love feels like you can be 1,000% yourself and never be judged. So start to learn self-love, start to get into God's presence, and I promise you he will bring you exactly what is meant for you. But you gotta stop settling where chaos is, and you have to pay attention to red flags moving forward and remove yourself when you know that you deserve more. It comes down to that. Even if you're not talking to God about it yet, you know what you deserve. Let's be for real. You know how good of a person you are. You're scared to leave a place where you're comfortable, even though that comfortable place is disrespect. Talk to God and allow him to move you out of this situation. Get in God's presence. My challenge for whoever is struggling in a toxic relationship or friendship or whatever it is, whoever's struggling today, after this video ends, I want you to put your phone face down in the other room, sit down on a couch, on your bed, on a chair, on the rug, on the floor, and get into God's presence. Tell God what you are struggling with today and ask him for his help. How to overcome stress in life when you are the age 20 to 24. Again, I'm 25, but I can absolutely give you some advice. Stress comes in all shapes, sizes, forms, obstacles, trials, and tribulations. Stress can make you feel like you are literally drowning. And it depends on what form of stress. It could be stress like before you take an exam for school. It could be stress where you're in a rush or you're going to make it on time to work. It could be stress where you don't have enough money to pay your next bill. Stress of being in a relationship and you and your partner are breaking apart. Stress comes in all forms. And the best way that I've dealt with it is, I'm not joking when I say this, guys, get into God's presence. It will change your life. I sit here because I've lived through chaos. I have lived through times that I thought I wasn't going to make it out of. And God changed my entire life. Stress will make you feel like you have a soaking wet comforter, like blanket from your bed, over your shoulders, wrapped around your body, and you're sinking into the ocean. Stress can be so heavy sometimes that you don't even, you just sit in it and you might cry. You might work yourself up even more and get even more stressed out. So just breathe. Breathe through it. Ask God to help you through it. Sometimes we're too hard on ourselves. We all have social media, so it's tough to not compare ourselves to someone else's timeline. But I pray today that you stop doing that. Stop comparing yourself and your life to someone else's. Comparison is evil. Comparison will destroy you. You are on your own journey. You are your own soul. So these people and these influencers and all these people doing great in their life, and maybe you're struggling to purchase a car to get from point A to point B. You are on your own journey, so do whatever you need to do to get yourself to achieve that goal. Stop looking at these people that have Ferraris and Cybertrucks and the newest Mercedes and all this stuff. And they have their own house and everything and all their bills are paid at the age 21. That is amazing for them. That is amazing. But maybe you're not there yet because you are on a different journey. God has his own plan for you. So I want you to stop stressing yourself out so much, because most likely you're comparing yourself to someone else's timeline, or you want to be further in life than where you are right now. Take a moment to take a deep breath. Just know that wherever you are right now is exactly where you are meant to be, because God does not give you things that you aren't ready for. Someone told me this, and I'm going to add it to the video because I feel like this is the perfect time to add it. For example, if you go grocery shopping and you get home and there's heavy bags, there's light bags, there's bags that are already, like the bags you put over your wrist and your wrist feels like it has no circulation left, those heavy bags, those are going in one by one. But basically, okay, you're bringing in groceries and you ask your younger siblings or younger cousins to help you. What bags are you going to give them? The light ones or the heavy ones? We're going to give them the light ones because we don't want them to trip and fall and drop the groceries, and now everything's all over the floor. I'm going to take the heavy ones because I know what I can handle. I'm giving my little siblings and my little cousins the light bags because I know what they can handle. So that is exactly what God does with us. He's not going to give you weight that you are not meant to handle. But God's also not going to give you something that you're not ready for. If I give my little cousin a heavy grocery bag and they walk into the house and the thing falls and now all the groceries are destroyed, what do you think would happen if God gives you something you are not ready for? Destruction. You're not ready for it. Your mind might not be equipped enough for it. Your setting or your living situation might not be equipped for it yet. If you're seeking a relationship and God's not giving it to you, your heart might not be positioned where it should be positioned yet. So give yourself grace. Talk to God and ask God to give you what you can handle. And in the time of preparing for the bigger blessings and the bigger prayers that you want answered, ask God to just prepare you. Ask God to instill in you what he needs to instill in you so that you can receive those bigger blessings, so that you can receive the things that you're begging and pleading God to give you. Okay? How can someone get a better relationship with God if they don't know the right path? I feel like this is where I was. I felt like I was so far gone. I didn't know my calling. I didn't know my passion. I didn't know what I wanted to do tomorrow. So to get a better relationship with God, this goes back to one of the other questions. I would say be committed to it. You have to be willing to get close to God. You can't, we're not just going to sit here and say, thanks God for waking me up. Okay, talk to you in a month. No. You have to be willing to seek God's presence daily. You have to be willing to open a Bible. And if you don't open a Bible, then get a little devotional book. Like I have this one from Amazon. In God's Presence, a daily devotional. It has a Bible verse at the top, and then it has a passage that just elaborates on the Bible verse. Do whatever you feel is right to get into God's presence. If you feel like setting an alarm when you wake up and putting it for like 5 minutes to talk to God, and then the timer goes off and you're done, or you set an alarm before bed and you get in God's presence for 30 minutes. Whatever you feel like you need to do to keep yourself committed and hold yourself accountable to being in God's presence, then do it. Because we can't, like I said earlier, you have to be as faithful to God as you want God to be faithful to you. If you talk to God once every 3 months, why do you think the 15 prayers that you just asked him to answer are going to be answered by tomorrow? They're not, because you're not being faithful and you're not practicing commitment. But the more discipline that you give yourself and the more commitment that you show to God, the better the relationship will be. I started off by journaling, once a week. And then I'm like, just journaling and getting in God's presence, it changed me and it'll change you. So that's why I'm like, if you talk to God once before bed for 5 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever it may be, and you practice that for one day a week. We don't have to start off with 5 to 6 days a week of getting in God's presence if you're just starting off. This ease into it. So start off with 1 day a week. Okay, bam, you managed to do 1 day a week for 3 weeks. Wonderful. Now let's bump it up to 2 or 3 days. Now let's set that alarm before bed for 30 minutes and let's talk to God Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. You have to ease into things that you want to stay committed to, just like the gym. I can't start off my gym journey by going to the gym 7 days a week. I'm going to freaking destroy myself. And if you think if you have no relationship with God and you're just going to dive into talking to God 7 days a week, but you don't even know what you're talking to God about, then it's going to be pointless. Ease into it, getting God's presence to start off with at least a day or a few days a week, and just let it grow from there. Like I said, I used to journal once a week, and now I journal 2 to 3 times a day because being in God's presence gives me that much peace. It's that reassuring. It's that calming. I swear. Like, I cannot go a day without talking to God. There's times where I'm in the shower and I'm literally talking to God because it gives me that sense of peace and reassurance. Next question. How to get my family involved with God? I answered this one on TikTok Live a little bit. I would say one thing that I've never done is force someone to know God. I've never forced someone to seek God. I've never forced someone to get into God's presence. But what I have spread the word of God to my family and the people closest to me. And I can literally see the lives that it has changed. So don't force somebody, oh, you need to talk to God. You need to start praying every day. No, let them develop that on their own if that's what they want to do with their life. But one thing you can start doing if you want the people around you to just get in God's presence and you think it might help them and bring them peace because they're just living in chaos or they aren't close to God at all, start sending them a prayer each morning. Find one on Instagram, screenshot one of mine, send it to your mom's phone, send it to your sister's phone, send it to your brother, send it to your homeboy, send it to your grandma and your auntie. Get them into God's presence, because one thing I know for sure is if you send that prayer, they're most likely going to read it, whether they want to or not. They're going to be like, oh, what's this? And they're going to read it. They might reply, thank you. They might reply, I don't need prayers. And hey, that's okay. Then that's the first and last time I'm going to send you a prayer. But they might reply saying, hey, do you mind sending me one of these every day? I have a cousin that wasn't close to God, and we have a group chat with some of my brothers. And there was a day that I didn't send any prayers just because I was busy. I was doing my own thing. I said my prayers. I posted my prayers on TikTok. But I looked at the group chat, and this specific cousin had said, hey, where's our prayer for the day? You missed out. You didn't send it. And I'm like, oh, like that's how much of a difference God makes in someone's life. Now, instead of forcing someone to seek God, they're literally seeking God themselves, but they're seeking God through you. So I'm like, oh, I don't like to force it. So I'm like, oh, I didn't know you wanted prayers every single day. I just send them when I feel like drawn to send them, even though I write prayers every day. And my cousin was like, no, I need you to send prayers every day, if not morning, middle of the day, and night. And I'm like, this is crazy. Now that entire group chat, when you scroll, it is my prayers back to back to back to back. Amen. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you for the prayer. This really changed my entire day. Thank you. I was really struggling with overthinking and worrying. This helped me a lot. When you start to show people what God does in your life and how much peace God brings you, they will start seeking God. So I would say just share a prayer with that family member or that group of relatives or that group of friends. And hey, if somebody says, please don't send me prayers, that's fine. That's their choice. But all you know is you tried. Okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 more questions, guys. Prayer for seeking a job. I actually saved one for this. This is also a book that I love reading, Hey God, on Amazon. Okay, so it just says a prayer for favor and open doors. I felt like that could definitely align you with whatever job or career is meant for you. So I'm going to read this, and if you want to run it back and listen to it again, then go ahead. It says, Hey God, I need you in this life. I ask that you keep your hand on me as I follow you. Please open every door in my life that needs to be opened and close every door that needs to be closed. Keep me humble by not allowing any wind to go to my head or any loss to destroy my heart. So right there where that says don't allow any wind to go to my head or any loss to destroy my heart, if you lost your job or you got laid off or you're seeking a new job and that job comes, don't let it go to your head. Remain humble, thank God for the job, and do whatever you need to do to keep that job. If you lost your job, don't let it destroy your mindset. Don't let it break your heart. Just seek and you will find. Talk to God and he will align you with the job or career meant for you. I know that walking in your favor will open doors that only you can open, and I want what you have for me. Guide my path and give me success as I honor you. Guide my path and give me success as I what? As I honor you. The more you talk to God, seek God, and honor God, and the more you are obedient to God, the more faithful he will be to you and give you what is meant for you. At the end, I pray that I live a life that allows you to say, well done, good and faithful servant. In Jesus' name, amen. I hope that prayer helped you. Next, we have what made me get into God and get close to God. So I could probably talk your ear off for the next 72 hours. I'm not going to do that. Just know that my relationship with God stems from going through hell. My relationship with God stems from almost literally losing my life on an operating room table. My relationship with God stems from losing my mind and losing my peace and then regaining it when I made God the center of my life. I almost lost my life from bleeding internally for a few weeks without knowing until I was rushed to the hospital. And they literally had to cut me open, and they said that all my organs were pooled in blood. And if I had waited at least 2 to 3 more hours, I would have passed away. So if that is not God getting me to the hospital when I had no pain prior, then I don't know what is. I had a post-op appointment after my operation, and the surgeon came into the room and had tears in her eyes and said, "You don't know how lucky you are to be sitting here today." And that to this day gives me chills, because as long as God wakes you up each day, he is not done with you. So that just made me so grateful and just get in God's presence even more, because I could not be here today. I mean, I could have, not that it was my choice, something could have wiped me out and I would not be able to make this YouTube video today. So for that, I am grateful. For that, I talk to God. And throughout my whole recovery process, I had a lot of complications. I was to and from the hospital nonstop. And I was alone. Like, I had my mom take me to appointments and stuff, but I was alone. So to be alone and not be able to be active, not be able to go do groceries or go for a car ride or get in my car and go see family or get in my car and go hit the gym, I had to just sit in my bed and heal. And yeah, I could scroll on social media all day long, but I felt drawn to God because I told God he saved my life. And with that being said, that is what started my main journey with God. And also losing my peace from surrounding myself or being in relationships that were just draining the living daylight out of me. Losing my peace and receiving God's peace in return literally changed my entire life. I read something the other day, and also one of my brothers has a tattoo and it says, "Protect your inner peace." You will never know the importance of protecting your peace until you've lost it completely. That's my motto for myself. I lost my peace. I almost lost my mind. I almost lost my life. And then God. And that's when God stepped in. And here we are. Am I wrong for questioning God? I'm not going to point fingers and say, whoever asked that question, I'm not going to say you're wrong for questioning God. We're human. So we have to be realistic. We ask God for things and then we question him. We ask God for something and we say, why isn't it here yet? Why didn't you answer my prayer yet? I asked you for a relationship, God. I asked you for a husband. I'm still sitting here by myself. I asked you for some help. You haven't sent it, God. Like, do you hear me? Are you listening? Whatever. I'm just going to stop praying. No. Do not stop praying when you feel like God is not answering your prayers. Do not stop praying, because God is working behind the scenes. You have to just trust his timing. You have to trust that God is going to work it out for your good and his glory. You have to have faith even when you feel like there's none. You have to have hope in knowing that God is going to bring you what you're asking for, as long as it's what he knows you need. I said this earlier, that not faith. Worry is faith in reverse. Worrying is faith in reverse. Because when you talk to God and you ask God for something and then you worry about it, you are unintentionally questioning God. You're unintentionally doubting God. So my background on my phone actually says pray about it as much as you worry about it. So when you catch yourself worrying about something, start praying about it. Shift your whole mindset. Even though it might take some practice, shift your whole mindset. If I'm like, oh my goodness, how am I going to do this later? How am I going to get here? How is this going to work out? Pray about it. God, please let this work out. God, please align my schedule in a way where I can see everybody that I need to see today. God, please don't allow me to be late to work. Let me miss out on the Starbucks coffee and just go straight to work. Start praying about it as much as you worry about it. So you're not wrong for questioning God. It's just you have to practice allowing your faith to be stronger than your worry. Let's see. How can I include God more in my life? I talked about this a little earlier. It's just about commitment, and you have to be willing to have that relationship with God. Personally, I started by doing my little journals, which not everybody has to journal. But another thing I would say is tune into YouTube and search up Sarah Jakes Roberts, Michael Todd, or Keon Henderson, or just look at all of them. Or you can even just type in like pastors and Real Talk Kim. She's good. And I would say just start your morning or end your night off with like 10 minutes of one of their segments. And that's how you can get closer to God. Start adding people into your life that know who God is. Start adding resources into your life that'll get you closer to God. I'm actually currently working on publishing volume 1 of my book, which will include multiple prayers. I'm thinking like 50 pages. So multiple prayers that I've written that maybe you guys haven't even seen me post yet. And then I'll have a few pages where you can do a self-reflection. So stay tuned for that. That can definitely help you get closer to God. And then question says, what inspires me the most? I have never even thought about that, I don't think. What inspires me the most is the drive that I have from my parents. Them just never giving up on their goals and getting to places that they never thought they could reach. My brothers are amazing role models. I have a few older brothers. They're like bodyguards, but we are so close, and they inspire me because even when times have been hard, they never gave up. I swear. One of my brothers had a major back operation, and literally he couldn't even walk on his own, and he somehow still made it to finals week in college on meds, exhausted, in pain. That right there, like just seeing the struggle, I saw how capable someone is of achieving a goal when they know that goal is what they want to achieve. And then I inspire myself just because with God's help, I have been able to grow into the woman that I am today. I never thought that I would have such a strong mindset. I never thought that I would reach places that I've reached. And that stems from surrounding myself with those people that used to lower my self-esteem, that used to belittle me. And it started to become my reality. I started belittling myself. I mean, even I'm still working on some of it, but even like getting on TikTok live earlier just to like share the word of God, I was nervous because I'm like, people aren't going to listen to me. So stop belittling yourself and start believing in yourself. How do you feel at peace even in times of chaos? That was a question for me. How do I feel at peace in times of chaos? Because I am so in tune and close with God that even if I'm living in chaos, I know that God's going to make a way. I know that I am so faithful to God that he won't let me down. Even if I pray on something a week and a half ago and it's still not here, I know that God is going to answer my prayer eventually. You have to be so in tune with God and so close to God and so intentional with what you talk to God about. And you also need to ask God for forgiveness for the things that you know you've done wrong in life. That's another thing. Ask God for forgiveness. Tell God what you know you need to work on and ask him for his help. And then seek God in all you do. And literally you will experience peace in times of chaos. Like, I mean, you would never know. I could be going through hell and I'm sitting here at peace because I know God. And I know that God is all that I need. And one thing I'm going to end off with is, I actually wrote this on a little index card before. And it said, if you lose everything and you feel like you have nothing but you have God, that's okay, because God is all that you need. But yeah, I really hope that my responses helped you guys. I hope some of my responses or all of my responses brought you guys clarity. I hope that even if some of you didn't ask some of the questions, that these responses really resonated with you and you were able to be like, oh shoot, I'm gonna work on that, or oh, that was a good question. So I just hope overall this was a helpful video. We're gonna end off with a prayer, and then I'm gonna see you guys next week, because what I'm gonna do is be consistent from now on. And if you haven't subscribed and you're just watching, please subscribe. What are you doing? And click the bell notification button so you can be notified every time I post. A prayer for your soul. This is what we're going to end off with. I pray that you no longer force any relationship in your life and you allow God to work. I pray that you are shown that genuine people do exist. I pray that you experience pure love and kindness. I pray that God reminds you that you do not need to chase anyone or anything, because if it is meant for you, it will never pass you by. I hope you keep going and do not stop praying. God hears you, but it is time for you to listen to him as well. I pray that your soul experiences peace, because even though you know how to survive, I pray that you enter a season where you don't have to. God hears you, so put him first. Trust him and he will make a way. In Jesus' name, amen. That was literally insane. That was my prayer that I wrote, but I literally feel like that prayer was aligned with all the questions that you guys just asked. I'm like speechless. I'm over here stuttering. Whatever. That prayer, literally, whoever's watching the video, that prayer was meant for you to hear. I am exhausted. I don't know if you see my eyes. I am so tired. I'm about to make some food and I'm about to take myself a good nap. So stay tuned for the next YouTube video. I'm going to post Monday of next week, guys. Thanks for all your support. Thank you if you're coming from TikTok. Thank you if you didn't even know I had TikTok and you're just here. I really appreciate you guys. I love seeing the comments. I love seeing the support. So just keep continuing on this journey with me. And we'll know what peace is sooner or later.